All right, everyone, it's that time again to talk about BBAI stock. That's right, Big Bear AI stock, because it just keeps on being interesting. Wait until you see the next technical that I have to show you on this one. I updated my technicals this morning, and then also this afternoon I touched on it again a little bit when I talked about my penny stocks and my best penny stocks to buy now, BBAI being on that list since May the 20th, although I also went back in time and saw that back on December 9th, I was also covering it as well in my penny stock video before it hit $10 per share. We could be well on our way to it. Like I said, I'm going to share that with you. Also, Soundhound looking super interesting. Wait until you see that one as well. And then I got some commentary for those of you SoFi stock enjoyers out there as well. I think you're really going to like the things that I have to say regarding SoFi stock and more of a long-term outlook for the company. I have two certainties that I really want to share with you there, at least ones that I count as certainties for myself that I think make it not only tradable in the near term, but investable for the long term, guys. I'm also going to be sharing this information and more over at the Discord. Links in the description, code word doctor when you sign up. Let's jump into the charts on this. So here we go. BBAI. The cup and handle pattern here, I was looking just at this part right here saying that we should get a continuation higher. It should match this movement that we saw before, sort of like a bull flag sort of example. And as I said before, someone down in the comments said, didn't you see the cup and handle? I was like, no, honestly, I didn't look far enough left to see. I was too zoomed in on what was going to happen given this drop that we had and signs of should we rise out of this thing? And we absolutely did. Confirm cup and handle pattern. Price target on this thing, $13.40. Seeing that move today, I said that if we had a break up above this candle that we had yesterday, that this should be a continuation candle, which should show us the direction upward. Well, it turns out that we actually have further evidence, now never a guarantee, but evidence that tomorrow could also be a very good day, and I'm very well positioned to take advantage of that very good day, as I've shared out here in YouTube before, but also directly with receipts over in the Discord. So Big Bear AI, we're going to drop down to the hourly chart on it and wait until you see what this looks like. If you haven't checked it out yourself, you absolutely should check this out. So the 1 hour chart that's on here, let me reset the view so you can see it even better. Do you see what I see? Look at that gorgeous thing. I haven't seen a more gorgeous bull pennant than what's right here in front of us. We have the volume spike coming off of today's volume. So there you can see that outsized volume that we got. And you can see as we got into the pennant part away from the flagpole on this thing that we started to lose that volume as we should, as we're trying to decide over that price. Now, mind you, we happen to be up in this area of resistance right now, but this could show us that next movement that we get, and it could happen as early as tomorrow, and I'd love to see it. So if we measure the height of that flagpole, and I know that there's different ways to measure the pennant, you'd go from the breakout. This, if anything, gives us that lower price target on this. So with the Fibonacci extension in use here, $9.24 is where we should sit maybe as soon as tomorrow. If this thing is able to break out through resistance, this area of resistance covers the peak that we saw today and the previous peak. And there's a lot of technicals that I have that go along with it. And I'll put those up there just for a moment. Actually, I'll take that one down. That was from an example that I was doing for one of the members over in the Discord. There we go. Oh my gosh. Get with it. This is what I get for recording late at night. I'm a very much a morning bird, an early riser. So we have pivots in here. We have Fibonacci extensions. We have Fibonacci retracements. All sorts of mess. And you might be like, Doc, they show up everywhere. Yeah, I know. But this is what I talked about before we got up there seeing that resistance. And that's exactly where we got resisted based on history and based on, like I said, the retracements, the extensions. It all happens to just drop down to that one spot. If I go to the daily chart, you can actually see, especially when I reset the view, you can see the areas where we actually have the tightening or that clustering, if you will, of those different technicals coming together on that chart. It does look like a mess, but it shows you some important things, such as this area down here that was resistance before. The fact that we were able to trade up above that cluster. Look at this. This is what happens when you break out of a resistance cluster like that. The area of resistance, we were able to shoot up to the next resistance, just blast right through these other lines in here. As I said, we would likely do if we were able to break resistance. It happened, took us up over $8 per share, $8.22 for close. So the thing that I wanted to share with you for Big Bear AI is the fact that tomorrow could be another big day for us. Now, mind you, got to keep the background market bias in mind with that. Now, the crypto bills that got signed it tells us a lot about, especially with the raise to the debt ceiling that we got previously with the big beautiful bill. We are just so much in that risk on environment. And somebody else let out in the comments, and I do want to put this out there in terms of community. I was talking about it on the live stream today with StockMo and with Crypto Will, and if you haven't checked out either of those guys, you should. StockMo, just search StockMo. For Crypto Will, what you want to search is Fresh Prince of Crypto on YouTube, and then you'll find his channel. Those guys are rock solid. It was wonderful to be on the live stream with them. Over at the community, it was a private live stream. That community, thousands of members deep. You guys can go and check it out, but that community is the part that I want to focus on. When you have community, whether it's here in the YouTube comments or over at the Discord, we get to find stuff that we previously missed. I probably wouldn't have seen that cup and handle if it wasn't for somebody in the YouTube comments. Also, in the YouTube comments, when somebody was talking about, because I said about the risk on environment that we find ourselves in, and that is true, and I think that is helping BBAI. The person in the comments said, yeah, but we're also in a high geopolitical risk time frame, and they do a lot with the government and defense. That could also be more capital coming their way, more speculation that it is coming their way, and that it could help to release some of that backlog and actually start to fill out their revenues. And I agree with them completely that some of that hype probably is going into this as well. So back to the technical side of things, watch for this tomorrow. Maybe we hit that 924, maybe we blast off above it. And if we do, we got another major pivot up above that at 962. 944 also happens to be a bit of a resistance. I like to zoom out more and see where that clustering happens. And so let's look a little bit north of here and find out where that happens to be, but I want to go to the daily chart to do it. There we go. We really don't start to get a very tight cluster again up until we get around that $10 mark. $10 to about mid-10s is what I would call that. Now, I also said about SOUN stock being highly interesting. We'll look at the hourly chart for SOUN. Beautiful day today, and I did take some profits, by the way, 650% on Lucid, and that play absolutely awesome. Somebody over in the Discord put out that because of what I shared for them, they got a 10xer. That's right, they went up 1,000% with their Lucid call options, so that was awesome. I also got stopped out today for a 10% profit on BBAI with one of the options. Now you're like, 10%, that's not great. Honestly, 10% over a couple days is pretty darn astounding. Some people wait all year to make 10%. But I will say I don't need to defend myself in that way. I also have sold calls. I've sold puts. I've benefited in so many ways. And I've also taken advantage of the shares as well. My cost basis is pretty darn incredible, and it'll probably get even better over time. We're going to watch and see. There's always things that you can do through options to really help yourself out with some of your favorite securities out there, whether it's ones that you hold or ones that you wish to hold, or if you're just bullish and you want to play with the derivatives such as options on that. Now, mind you, there is some coursework through StockMo Academy. Links down in the description. Click on it, check it out. Code word doctor, just like for the Discord, it'll help you out. Let's get into Soundhound here. So for Soundhound, look at this. Look at this. This is awesome. So during the regular trading hours, we had just a rocket ship up, sort of flagged down off of this, and then broke out again, got stuck right around 1265, which I posted about earlier today over in the Discord as well, saying that we got to get over 1265. We kind of did it here. We might be able to get that movement that pushes up to 1342, maybe tomorrow, especially if we got a nice strong day. Again, pay attention to the overall market bias. It really does impact what we have going on with the stocks. And right now we're in that risk on space, but the markets are also very peaky right now. Let's go out to the daily chart on this thing just to look at the ride that we've had. And when we look at this, we actually broke back up above this neckline from the inverse head and shoulders. So shoulder left, head on this, right shoulder, and then across this right here is what we're looking. I'm sorry, is this trend line down here for that neck. We broke back above it here, closed above it, got some buying pressure. Nice little rocket ship today, closing up over 7%. So Soundhound, I think, is going to try out that 13 tomorrow. We'll find out if that's the case. We had 3 different rejections over here at that 1342 spot. So that is pretty significant. But if we get up above that and get above this trend line, then that 1608 that we have from the inverse head and shoulders, that price target can absolutely come out of this. And we might be able to get some pretty wild outperformance in the very near future on Soundhound. And that's why I feature it here. So let me drop back down to the hourly chart just to give some final commentary. Look at the hourly chart on this. Look at the bulls gaining that ground. The bears trying to hold that line, not trying to get it to pop above 1265. We tried all day, including the extended hours, to get it above that. I think tomorrow could be that day that we make another strong push, put up a couple more percent to get up there. and just look at the way we bellied this thing out, but so quickly came up above that trend line. That's absolutely perfect. Watch out for that selling pressure that shows up about above 1265. If we can get up above 1342, we should be able to exceed all of that selling pressure, and that should allow us to quickly go back into price discovery to see us reach up for that $16. Did I say 1608? I think was that price target. Yeah, 1608 that we saw from that inverse head and shoulders. So guys, you can let me know what you think about that down in the comments. BBAI, Soundhound, either way, absolutely love to hear from you. I'm going to get into SoFi and give you my thoughts on the chart and my certainties. And here they are. Number one, my very first certainty. I don't think that the current price is sustainable. I think that it's going to be one that pulls back pretty heavily on us. Probably over the next several days to several weeks, we'll probably see something lower than what it's at right now. And I know SoFi is very popular. I love SoFi. Anthony Noto, I believe, is a great CEO. And I talked about this years ago, that he's a grower and a shower. It's just all the truth that there is to it. I mean, it's not that he's one or the other, or not one, but the other. He's both. Grower and a shower. The guy really knows how to run an efficient and profitable company. And I mentioned this a few days ago as well, talked to a bank executive from one of the major US banks. I'm not going to disclose which one, but it's one of the C-level executives. And as I was talking to him, he talked about how behind they were from a technology standpoint, including AI, and like everything that he was saying, he sounds like they're just caught on their back foot, where SoFi is just stepping into the forefront in this thing. This thing, I think, is going to be an absolute rocket ship, which takes me to my second certainty that I have for SoFi, as certain as anybody can be in the financial markets here. My second certainty, the first one was these prices aren't sustainable. They're probably going to come back on us. The second one is when it does come back, that is going to be our last best opportunity to get into SoFi at a good price. Not financial advice. I don't know that it's true, but that's the way that I view it for myself. That is my other certainty. It is one of my highest conviction plays out there right now in the markets is SoFi, given their current track record and where they can go from here. With that said, I want to look at the technicals to give you reasons why I think it is going to come back from where it's at, where it might come back to, where I'd love to see it at if I were to take another dip into SoFi, where I think it would just be anything at or below it would be the dream values that we would be looking at for excellent cost basis positioning for SoFi stock, because things are wonderful right now in the stock market. They're not going to stay there forever. I think we're going to have a pretty crummy time here before the end of 2025, but I also think 2025 is going to end even higher than what it's at right now. I think that this current government and administration wants to keep the punch flowing at the party for as long as possible, and that they're not going to put up with significant downturns for very long, much as like what we saw for the April 2nd Liberation Day. We'll play those cards as we're dealt them. For right now, let's take a look and see what we got. So overall, I do want you to know that I'm very bullish on everything that I've shared with you. BBAI in the near term, Soundhound in the near term, SoFi, a little bit bearish in the near term, but very, very bullish in the long term for it. Okay, so here we go. So SoFi, once again, big old mess here on the screen for you. Again, look at the knotted up areas where you start to see convergence, if you will, like right in here, how many lines we have all coming together, how much support it was, how much resistance it turned into, and what happened following the break of that support, and what happened when it came to that break of that resistance. We even had a further knot of lines up here. Now, mind you, all of these technicals are drawn no later than, I can give you the date on here, May 23rd, and yet when you look into the future on this thing, look where we have this knot of lines all converging on one another, and that would be on June the 30th. And I actually took a quick short scalp on this one from June the 30th when we had a nice little peak, plus the resistance that was there, the high wick on this. Took a small short on the next day, did pretty well with it, and then we kept on going because the momentum in the market and with SoFi is absolutely huge right now. Well, we're starting to get into some very overbought territories on a daily basis, which, that's still relatively short term for a company that would be a long-term conviction play. So we actually have, let me see if I can take some of these things down for you so there's not so much noise on the screen. Actually, I'm going to put that one back up and we'll take that one down. So I want you to pay attention to this ray that we have coming down across, and the fact that we actually butted up against that ray and closed nearly perfectly at it. And if we look to see where that ray came from, let's go add to the weekly chart so we can see it a little bit better. reset the view. There we go. It's off these previous two peaks that we have over here. That's going to cause us most likely some pretty significant resistance. But you guys can see back here, back in November of 2024, the weekly chart hit an RSI of 86. Our weekly right now is only at 75 by comparison. This thing could keep on pumping for us. But once again, on a daily basis, we might pull back in the near term. And we have some other minor supports as per the rays that are up here. Well, let's take those down for a moment, clean it up just a little bit for you. When we do that, we actually have this significant 100% Fibonacci level that's up here right at 2240. And we could be a little bit scared away from that one because I believe that one's a very long-term one here. Let me go back to here. That one goes all the way back from pretty much where we opened to that first peak that we got and all the way to the bottom. This is that one full movement coming from that one. That one happens right at 2240. Today we peaked out at 2220. We are very close to that. I think that's going to be very critical for us. And if we don't, the next time that we're looking for it, and you guys can see the big knot that's up here. So I think that we could peak out north of $25. So this run right here is down about 24.46, so mid 24s. And then it peaks out all the way up at low 25s. So at $25, it could be in the cards. We could definitely have that in the next several weeks if we don't turn back around. If we do turn back around, we actually have $20 to $21 to sit back on for support. Now, if this thing pulls back like I think that it could in the near term, so near term meaning like several days to several weeks, I think that we'll fall back to very solid support down here around 1850 or so. You're welcome to hit me up in the comments. Tell me that I'm off my nut and that SoFi is never coming back down ever again, and I'm cool with that. And if it never does, fine, I'm cool with that too. I'm a long-term investor in SoFi. It'd be absolutely wonderful. I am looking for opportunities for some better positioning as this rocket ship has happened before I got as much as I wanted to. So what I'm watching for is for that thing to pull back. I do think that it could in the near term, but like I said before, as this thing does pull back, I don't think that right now's prices are necessarily sustainable in the short term, but I do think that they're going to be absolutely crushed in the long term. And when I say long term, I'm talking within 2025 still, but then also the years that follow that Anthony Noto is going to keep on finding ways to innovate and bring in further business and opportunities and acquisitions to continue to expand and to grow and to take market share from some of the more traditional banks that are out there. I think that at the end of 2025 and into 2026, just with what they're trying to do with tokenization and into the crypto space, along with the very significant products and services that they offer already, are only going to make them more attractive over time, and that they're going to continue keeping their growth going as there's a lot of space for them to make. And I do want to make more of a fundamental case for SoFi in another video, and that's a big one too. Wait until you see that one. But over time, I think that Anthony Noto is not going to change from being a grower and a shower. That it's just going to expand, and it's going to still have some rather large balloon type moments happening over the next several years. And I'm pretty darn excited about it. So the video's getting kind of long. I want to wrap this up for you guys. Where do I think this thing's going to pull back to? I think at the very least, I think that we see that $20 mark again coming out of this. But down here, I think that it's very, very reasonable that we find ourselves back around $18 per share. That support happening from about $18.32 up to $19. I think we could come back and set on this previous peak. What I want to see happen from an investment perspective, I would love to see something happen where we find ourselves back under $15. More like where we see this support happening down here is I think that this would be the lowest that we're going to see SoFi stock, save some sort of major black swan event or something falling apart fundamentally for SoFi, maybe the two of them together. But assuming that everything stays positive for the fundamentals for SoFi and that the market stays in a relatively decent position, I think that $13 SoFi is I think there's a case where it might happen. I don't think it'd feel good for any of us. I think we'd all be pretty darn disgusted about it. But I would also be excited. That part that would be excited of me is the part where I have capital to deploy. I have cash on the sidelines for opportunities such as that one, along with other plays that might be out there. But opportunities such as SoFi here, that if that mega opportunity comes along, a sub $15 SoFi comes my way again, I am fully ready without hesitation to deploy that capital, once again, barring any changes in their fundamentals, which might impact the growth that I expect to happen for SoFi over time. So guys, I hope that you really enjoyed my commentary in this video, the things that I discuss in this video, the technicals that I share, because I really do. They're rock solid. They just keep on showing. I can make a crypto video after this where you can see some of the near-term peaks that we see, that I talked about, the resistances that we would find with some of the values in crypto that we saw off XRP, off Bitcoin, you name it. They really are rock solid. If you guys want to see that more of them, if you want to see what I'm buying and selling, you can come on over to the Discord. I'm just one of the experts over there. There's a whole team of us there ready to support you in your journey towards financial freedom, building alpha in your portfolio. You'd be joining 1,000 members that are already over there and have that community support you throughout the entire process. Code word doctor, sign up for the earner tier so you get unrestricted access. Also that coursework through Stockmo Academy. He and Mrs. Mo put together rock solid courses on technical analysis, technical trading, and also options, which, man, options are one of my favorite things out there. They can really add some serious alpha when used responsibly. They can add incredible amounts of alpha to your portfolio as well. That coursework, code word doctor, works on those as well. They are a one-time fee, lifetime access course. Guys, let me know what you think about BBAI. Am I off my rock? Am I off my nut here that they're just going to fall apart? Or is this thing going to blast off for us? Is it going to happen in the near term? What about Soundhound? Are they also going to pump tomorrow as well, or in the very near term? Honestly, I would love to see these prices go up, and then we'll probably see some profit taking if that's the case. If it's been a pretty astounding week, usually profit taking follows. Sometimes you end up softening a little bit going into the close. We're going to have to watch and see. So I'd love to hear from you that. What about SoFi? Are you a fan on SoFi? Do you want to see more videos about SoFi? I would love to know that. And then also cryptos. Out of the cryptos I've been covering, if you've watched those videos, are there others that you would like to see? Because I can totally include more, give you my take in those technicals. I'd love to do that. And otherwise, guys, I'll see you over in the Discord. Thank you for watching, and any other support that you'd like to show, I'm here ready for you. I'll be coming back to YouTube as often as possible to share with you what I know. Once again, guys, have a great day. I'm Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.